Hi, John here from Swift Fitness. I just wanted to give you a quick presentation on training during the season. So you finished your pre-season and now it's time to maximise your gains. I often get told, John, I just started pitch work, so I'm going to really struggle to get to the gym. Well, at that point, I just see injuries down the line. I see a weakness in character, and I also see someone regressing, not progressing, because the extras don't have to be crazy high intensity balls to the wall session, but they do need some purpose. And here is how you'll find it, and a little bit of the reason why it's so important that you keep up some form of conditioning strength work throughout the season. Number one, right, it prevents injuries. The stronger athlete will always dominate. So why allow yourself to get weaker? Strength training, it forms a foundation of all athletic movement. And at this point, as you go into the season, with an equal emphasis on recovery, so that's reflected in time spent. So for every kind of unit or hour you spend training, you want to spend the equal amount on recovery. We know as well that strength needs to be kept up, and it doesn't take long for strength levels to fall, somewhere between 7 and 14 days. So, and then you combine that with the pounding that the body takes, with the accumulation of things, stuff like scar tissue and microtrauma, and you face the problem of something going awry down the line, and all this essentially makes you weaker. Try having a dead leg and the feeling, the lack of power you have in it after a few days. They're probably the equivalent of a toddler. But equally, give me a full range set of squats to keep up the correct muscle length and strength levels, or a set of chins to balance any pressing, pushing work that you do, or if you have an injury to a limb, what about the 3 other limbs? In fact, we now know that working the uninjured limb will speed up the rehabilitation of the injured limb. So that's always good to know. I've also always found that my own training is that if you have an injury, for no fault of your own, it was the best time to really devote time to weak links and bring them up to speed. Hopefully you've been doing that in your pre-season, bulletproofing you. So strength training needs to be maintained if done correctly, and improved on from week to week. And how this is achieved is largely down to the coach. There's no set plans, just a set of principles that guide the program, and the kind of art is seeing how much you can tolerate on a day-to-day basis. One session I had, for example, was on the Monday morning. The boys had lost, the heads were down, so we all went for breakfast. Not 10 sets of cleans, but come Tuesday, the drive was back, which really is. It's so important that throughout the season you aim to get stronger, and maintenance really is a dirty word as far as I'm concerned. Improve, and there's so many variables in strength training and conditioning that it's just knowing what to look at and what to measure. And you also just know how to deliver stress. Some guys and girls can take it and come back for more. They may have their life in order, they may have good nutrition habits, good lifestyle habits. Others find sitting on a Swiss ball mentally challenging. My point is, you need to see what you can tolerate and let your numbers do the talking, and they tend not to lie. Things like your squat, your remedial lifts, your deadlift, whatever measure you're using, your standing vertical jump, they'll give you objective markers as to how you're doing. And over a 3, 6, 12-month period, they need to be going up. Otherwise, what's the point? So not all training in the season should be balls to the wall. Gym work is just that. It's work in the gym. It's not pitch work or game time, so it has to complement it, not eat into it. Your skills are the most important thing you possess. Make no bones about it. And time should be spent on this. But what if you're weak as piss and spend most of your time on the sidelines? You can be the best ball player in the world, but if you're weak and you keep getting injured and beaten up, maybe emphasis needs to be put on there. A good coaching team will perform a player profile and maybe score you in different areas of your skill level, athletic ability, lifestyle, nutrition, and see where your weak links are. And then as a player, you can communicate this to a manager and go about working on them. For instance, if your lifestyle is poor and you've got a Pop-Tart habit, it's going to eat up in your recovery time. So that needs to be addressed before you maximise your ability to get the most out of your training. Not all gym work, therefore, needs to be balls to the wall. Far from it. Some of the best sessions I've taken have been 30 minutes of intensely focused work. One exercise, not 10. Wreck or smash, not going through the motions. Teamwork, not 90 minutes of texting. Maybe a day of stretching, not needed, not the weights. And if this pattern continues, we then know that we need to look elsewhere for those all-important gains. There's going to be quiet times during the season as well. What are you going to do then? You take your foot off the pedal? That's not good. Gym work keeps you in the game in a good way. You know that feeling when you're heading back into pre-season? It's not much fun. So there are season lulls. You know, it's just time to make the most of them. Gym work fits well. Working on your skills, wherever your weakness is, work it. Which also builds a bit of mental toughness. And I think this is the key element. It builds character. All that little bit of extra stuff you do outside of the gym and outside of the organised training sessions, they build toughness. One of my old gym training partners and teammates just say, you know, find a way to train, not an excuse not to train. And he was so right. The lads who ducked out of the tough stuff outside of the pitch would do it to you on the pitch, and that's a fact. The team member who does things without everyone watching will be on your shoulder when you need them the most, and that is built outside of pre-arranged times and team get-togethers. For me, this actually bigger picture boils down to life. If you make an excuse to take the easy road, then you would do this outside of your training environment where everything is laid out, preset times, dates. What about when you actually need to do it? Can you? What about when your back's to the wall? I think it boils down to two things. It boils down to time management and also need for self-approval. You know, what do you like on both? Can you manage your time to set it aside for the extra bits and pieces you need to excel at in your sport? What about needing a pat on your back every 2 seconds? I mean, who cares? Whose approval are you looking for? The only thing that mattered to me, personally, and as any team I worked with, was A, the result, and B, had I done my bit? And that certainly wasn't left to 2:30 on a Saturday to find out. So hopefully there's just a few guidelines for you for in-season training. Don't take your foot off the gas. Hopefully I've outlined the reasons why and a few pointers as to how to go about doing it.